pleasure and honor to introduce you to Maria Pia Bellone Mignatti. And she's somebody that we've worked with for a number of years, very actively involved in the United Nations, and she has two positions currently. She's the chair of the Non-Governmental Organization Committee on Migration, and she's also the main representative to the World Organization for Early Childhood Education. And wonderfully, she's going to be sharing some information with us, but she's also going to be talking about paving the road to hope and the time for action to protect immigrant and refugee children, and particularly the right of early childhood in terms of the families and the children that are involved. So Maria Pia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. It's really a privilege and a pleasure. And good afternoon to everyone. So I chose the title, Paving a Road to Hope, Time for Action. I chose this title because it perfectly represents the situation we are living as advocates for children's rights, regardless of their immigration status, particularly for the right to early childhood development. It is the time to pave a new way to protect migrants and children, with particular attention to the right to early childhood education and to youngest children. I am sure that every one of us can share the belief of the Chinese writer Lu Xun. Hope is like a road in the country. There was never a road, but when many people walk on it, the road comes into existence. Each of us, all together, can help pave this new road, investing in early childhood development for all children. Migration is and has always been a complicated topic, with political, social, developmental, cultural, humanitarian, human rights ramification that cross all borders. And today we are witnessing an unprecedented level of human mobility. No one state can manage such a movement on its own. Thus, this is a global phenomenon that calls for global approaches and global creative solutions. Children are largely represented in the migration flows. They are one of the most pressing humanitarian challenges of our time. Addressing the needs and problems faced by children on the move is complex, because of their specific vulnerabilities, because of their movement takes so different ways, because they are different experiences, and despite the growing attention, policies and practices for the protection of children on the move still fail, while the youngest children are almost invisible, also because the lack of disaggregated data. We don't know their number. They are too often framed as a baggage on the shoulders of adult migrants. They are not considered as an important reason why families move across national borders. They are not regarded as actors of their future, but only as victims of their present. They have no voice, mainly in the country of transit, but also in the host country and in the country of origin, if they are left behind. If we recognize the transnational character of contemporary childhood, we are facing a transnational childhood. We can understand in a more profound way the complexity and the nature of today's globalized migration. With a child-sensitive approach, we can analyze not only the facts, but also the psychosocial, cultural implication of migration, understanding children's emotions, trauma, distress, and identifying the coping strategy connected with migration, separation, and integration process. And the integration process, it's a two-way process. Early childhood is the time of greatest risk, but also of greatest opportunity. We know that exposure to violence and the stress of dislocation or abandonment can have devastating effects, particularly in the early years. We know the positive effect of ECD. I know ECD is crucial on violent and unstable context. We know that investing in early childhood development is good for everyone, for children, for the government, for business, for communities, parents, caregivers. We know, but many people still don't know the power of ECD. During our advocacy among UN member states regarding the critical role of ECD in a migration context, quite often did we have to explain its content, its benefits, its transformative power. Anyway, fortunately, we are now witnessing a growing commitment to support ECD initiatives for migrant and refugee children. Article 82 of the 2016 New York Declaration for Refugees and Migrants, a political declaration to address the large movement of migrants and refugees, called on UN member states to support early childhood education for refugees. And besides, in this declaration, member states expressed their determination to address the particular vulnerabilities of women, the importance of women and the families and children during their journey from the country of origin to the country of arrival and also in the country of transit. The Global Compact of Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration, whose purpose is to strengthen international cooperation on migration, and which we are expecting to see this Global Compact adopted next December in Marrakesh, in its guiding principle includes a child-sensitive approach. Indeed, the member state expressed the legal obligation to promote the best interest of the child at all times as a primary consideration. And in its objective 15F of the GSM, Global Compact on Migration, member states committed to facilitate non-discriminatory access to early childhood development for the first time. The Global Compact on Refugees, which is expected to be adopted next December, recognizing that the refugee children make up over half of the world's refugees, strongly support the protection of children's rights, including the right to ECD, paragraph 69. These are important commitments, but they are commitments. Now, we have to work to ensure their correct implementation. We have to work to turn words into action, into facts. The Global Compact on Migration suggests two important guideline principles: a rule of government approach to ensure horizontal and vertical policy coherence across all sectors, and the rule of society approach promoting broad multi-stakeholders partnership, including migrants, diasporas, local communities, civil society, academia, private sector, trade unions, media, etc. In this way, migration and displacement can become a test case for international cooperation, including cooperation for the implementation of ECD initiatives. An example in this direction is the Initiative for the Child Rights in the Global Compact, a partnership of over 30 organizations from civil society, UN, experts, co-chaired by Save the Children and Terre des Hommes. The initiative reaffirms the centrality of the protection and access of good quality services for migrant and refugee children, and emphasizes that the best interests of the child need to be a primary consideration in any decision affecting them. The initiative actively advocates for migrant and refugee children's protection in 6 issues: non-discrimination, best interests of the child, child protection, children immigration detention, stop children immigration detention, access to services, including ECD. The initiative also stresses that now is the right time to discuss, identify ways for working together on a multi-stakeholder collaboration platforms for implementing the commitments affecting children expressed by UN member states. But a study of 9 upper, middle, and high-income countries suggested that responses at national level to the needs of the youngest migrant and refugee children have been extraordinarily weak. And the providers of these services are often ill-equipped to address children's on-the-move cultural and linguistic diversity and trauma. So the need to form the professional, the people that have to take care of migrant children. So with this limited public ECD activity, what we have? Limited public ECD activity means that non-governmental organizations, UN agency, private sector, often have to fill the gap. There are many examples of ECD initiatives for migrant refugee children implemented by NGOs all around the world, and we just heard the experience of the initiative of the International Rescue Committee and Sesame workshop collaboration initiatives. It's impressive initiatives, fantastic initiative. And we mentioned this initiative in the statement, Fighting the War on Poverty with ECD, which OMEP, FAVCO, the Poverty Elimination and Community Peace Foundation, presented last year at UN during the Commission on Social Development. So it was a good luck for your prize, maybe. And because we are convinced that poverty is not a destiny. We can fight poverty, and ECD help fight poverty. And migrant and refugee are poor, and they are invisible not only as migrants, but also poor. We can mention also the recent initiative, Nurturing Care for Early Childhood, launched by the World Health Organization, UNICEF, World Bank, and other NGOs, to serve as a roadmap for action, helping mobilize a coalition of parents, caregivers, national governments, civil society, academia, UN, private sector, to ensure that every child, regardless of the migration status, gets the best start in the life. To give example of good practices and policies by governments in a multi-stakeholder partnership and to promote this multi-stakeholder partnership, OMEP, FAVCO, Caritas Internationalis, World Vision, Save the Children, co-sponsored by NGO Committee on Migration, produce a booklet, a very small, it's a booklet, I Am a Child. And in this booklet, we listed good practices and good policies regarding the protection of migrant and refugee children's rights to birth registration, health, education, including ECD, and access to services without being arrested or deported, the firewalls. We link this good practices policy to the objectives of the Global Compact on Migration and the Global Compact on Refugees, demonstrating the complementarity between the two Global Compacts, because you are not written, I'm a migrant, I'm a refugee. So often they mix together, the situation and the issues are mixed together. And we stress that the protection of this right is strictly linked to SDGs. Of course, SDG 4.2, early childhood development, but SDG 16. SDG 16 is peaceful and inclusive society, so the role of ECD. And this booklet is a living document. It's posted in the Committee on Migration website and ready to receive other good policies, good practices from NGOs working in the field. Why? Because with these good practices, good policies, we can go to UN member states and say, look at this, it's possible. And our goal, indeed, is to demonstrate that the implementation of the the GCM, Global Compact on Migration, Global Compact on Refugee, is not only possible, but in many cases, already is a reality. With the collaboration of national and local government, UN agency, local NGOs, migrants and refugees. And this is very encouraging to see that implementation of ECD initiatives is growing. To support this trend, to transform the commitments expressed by the Global Compacts into practices, we need to work together in a coordinated manner. We have to build a strategy, a common strategy, in a rule of society approach. ECD, we know, it's the right choice. Also in a migration context, because if we change the beginning of the story, we change the whole story. Thank you so much.